Hi, this is Mary Kay from Cocoa Daisy, and I wanted to show you a few things that I've done this month. I've already started with using the May kits. I get mine early, mostly so that I can answer questions about the kits more easily than if I didn't have mine when you guys start getting yours. So I get mine a little early, and I can never resist dropping everything and crafting when I get them. So that's what I did last night. And I refined a few things I did last month, and I wanted to show you those. Some things worked better and some things didn't work as well. So I wanted to share that with you. So last month, if you watched my video, I talked about how I did my lamination. So I've been going crazy with my laminator. I found a stash of a bazillion laminator pockets that I bought really cheap a long time ago. So I've been just using them like crazy, and I also get a lot of the paper. I get both memory keeping kits. I get extra planner paper, so I have a ton of paper. So I like to do different things with it. So I want to contrast what I did last month. So let me look at that first. So I mentioned, if you saw my video, that I did the lamination a little bit differently than I see most people do it. Just to see if I could really. This is the cover to my B6 that just wraps around my B6 and goes in my planner. So what I did was I ran these two sheets through the laminator just by themselves. First I did that. And by the way, this gutter's just a little too wide. It shows the craft too much, but hey, you live and learn. But I ran them through, and then I put the pocket on, and it didn't stick all that well, which is one of the things I changed this month to try to improve. But what I did was, so instead of, I see most people, and this is what I did this month, run all the pieces through and then use a craft knife to kind of open it up and make the pocket. Instead of doing that, I thought, well, what if I just laminated the background, and then I took a pouch, opened it up, and only used half of it, the shiny side up. I trimmed it to fit these edges, but it was bigger on these edges so that it would stick. And I ran that through. And I think the advantage to doing that is I didn't get any bubbles or wrinkles at all last month. But this month I did. So this is a A5 pocket folder I made, and I made it in that more common method of sending both the background paper and the pocket through in the same pouch this way, so that, you know. And it just, I don't know if you can see, probably can't. It made wrinkles, it made bubbles. There was a big bubble here when I first did it. So I used the craft knife and I opened that up, and then I kept running it back through the laminator in different directions, trying to deal with those bubbles, and instead I got a big wrinkle there, and the bubbles didn't completely go away. So I think I'm probably going to go back to the laminating each piece method next month, because I wasn't very happy with those wrinkles and bubbles. But what I was happy with, so this is April's, and this was my first stab at this kind of cover for the A5. So I made big wide pockets on both sides, and that makes it kind of hard to get in and out. So I got the front slid in, and that was fine. But then if I want to put the back in, I kind of have to manipulate it and bend it backwards, and it was kind of hard. And I thought, there's no reason these have to be that wide. I like how wide they are because I cut slits in them so that I could put clips. I'm all about the clips. And I put a pocket back here. And I did that same method of putting the single sheet of laminate over the top and running the whole thing through. And I got a nice enough wide margin down here that you can see it's nice and sturdy. I did not get that on the other thing I just showed you. So that was kind of my first stab at it, and I decided to try it again this month and do a couple things different. So the first thing I did differently was I went to the method, mostly, of other people, of running it all through the laminator together. And you probably can't see, but you'll have to take my word for it. Huge bubbles and wrinkles, and it's just not good. And I ran it through multiple times. It's better than it was, but it didn't work very well to do that for me. I don't know why. My laminator just didn't like it. But what I did that did work well was I took, so this is only 3 pieces of this beautiful paper. It's 1, 2, and then this is 1 piece just cut in 2. So I think if I did it over, I'd put the wide part over here so the pocket could be in the front. But on the other hand, I can just put clips here. Anyway, however you want to do it. But I stacked up all the pieces. So base papers, these pockets, and then also this pocket, which is made from vellum. And I ran it all through, and then I used the craft knife to cut it. Next month we'll do it differently. But the smaller pockets, actually I'm going to do the big one first, sorry. So especially that front smaller pocket makes it much easier to get the cover in without bending it up too much and making a mess. So then you have a nice cover. You probably also can't see that I did something different. I used tape this month. I used Scotch tape. I like to call it clear washi tape. And that's just how I assembled my pockets before, because I don't like necessarily the look of washi tape on my pretty pattern paper. But when you laminate over the tape, this was an experiment, you can see it. The tape is clear, but you can see the outline of it. If that bothers you, don't do that. But the reason I did it is because it makes it ever so much more sturdy at the edges. The tape is holding it instead of relying on just that little narrow margin of laminate, and that is important to me. That sturdiness was more important than the ghost of the tape that you can see. So that is my cover for this month for the A5. I made, because I love the elastic and charm that came last month, I made one this month. This charm came, oops. This charm came in the kit, and this charm is from my Calibri Charms Etsy shop. I have a whole bunch of them. I'm probably going to make some sort of cluster of charms. I have a trowel and some watering cans, a whole gardening thing, so I'm probably going to make a bigger cluster, but I didn't have time to do that yet. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, this is my B6. It's still a work in progress, but what I did this month that I'd never done before is I laminated vellum. This gorgeous piece of vellum. I didn't have enough to do both sides in vellum though. I was going to save the other one, that green one that I made the pocket out of, and I didn't. So instead I put paper on the back, and I actually kind of like the way the stripes look when you see them, but of course you won't ever see them together because the planner will be in there. And then I made a mistake. I wasn't paying attention. This is one of the pockets from the Traveler's Notebook Memory Keeping Kit. It's a plastic pocket, adhesive pocket. Here's the other one. And what I meant to do was cut it so that this side was open so that I could just put things in, and having the book closed would hold them in, and I forgot to do that. So there you go. We'll see how that works. I used a piece of the acetate that we got. Put white behind it so you can see how beautiful it is. I use that acetate to make a pocket, which I almost always do. I usually use, like I said, Scotch tape, but I really liked the way that this washi tape kind of folded over and had one on either side. I don't know. Anyway, there's that. And then the beautiful vellum that was in the memory keeping kits. You'll see it in several places. I just love it. Another thing I did that I'm very proud of, our kits came with 2 bookmarks, and I wanted to use it because it's beautiful, and also who doesn't like a bookmark? I often use clips for that purpose, but it slides around in a traveler's notebook. It just doesn't work very well for me anyway. And so I got the idea from one of the design team's videos from last month. I think it might have been Christine Bryant. And she had taken 2 pocket cards and glued them together only at the top, and then they made a bookmark that slid over the top, and there was a tab or something up here, or words or whatever, and they slid in to be her kind of today bookmark. And I thought that was a brilliant idea, so I decided to adapt it for this bookmark, and I looked through the die cuts and I found this one, which coordinates perfectly and looks pretty on the back. It was important to me that it looked pretty from the back as well. So now I can just slide it onto my page and it sticks up and makes a perfect bookmark. So it looks good from this side and from this side. So pretty happy with that. This is my typical vertical layout. I've settled on this. Most months I do this. I tried to do it in a standard and it's not wide enough, so I had to go back to my B6. I could do the A5 as well, and I may try that. So what I do is I do schedule and to do, and then this third section is really kind of just extra. If you had something to track, this would be a perfect place for that. And if you were so inclined, you can stamp or write like to do or whatever on these dividers, these bars that come printed in the insert. But since I don't do tracking, I just decorate the bottom. I stick things on them and make it look pretty and have a good time with that. There's more of that beautiful vellum. So, and I use washi. The very first time I did this, I just drew lines, and of course that works fine. But I have kind of a significant stash of skinny washi, that most of which Christine sent me because she knows I love skinny washi. So most of the time I can find colors that match pretty well with the colors in the kit. So I use that most of the time. And then the last thing I do, so in the middle we are moving. And in the April kit already, I have this filled in with to-do list and things I have to take care of for the move, and I'm sure that it'll fill up in May as well because we'll still have plenty to do. And then in the back of my Dori is my menu planning, and I always use stickies because I never do things on the day I plan them. These are from last month, and these are, quite frankly, carried over from the previous month because I didn't get these meals made. But I just thought these little, first of all, the stickies are a great size for this, but I thought they matched the kit really well as well. But then I did use the ones from this month. They were so big, though, I cut them in half, and that made it easier. So that is my setup thus far for this month. Thank you for being part of Cocoa Daisy.